So, what do we have next? Well, we have a YouTube video that was released about 3 days ago. And it is called How the Government Punished a Family Business for Sharing Their Beliefs. Now, if that doesn't sound like an attempt to shift the narrative, specifically so that the families are the victims, I don't know what is. So, let's play the video, and let's see what we can glean from this. It is from the Alliance Defending Freedom. Now, you guys know me. I like to know who is sending me my information. I like to know who is building this type of stuff for me. Who's building the video that I'm consuming. So, let's take a look at the Alliance Defending Freedom for a second here. They were founded by some 30 leaders of the Christian right. The Alliance Defending Freedom is a legal advocacy and training group that has supported the recriminalization of sexual acts between consenting LGBTQ adults in the United States and criminalization abroad. They have defended state-sanctioned sterilization of trans people abroad. Wait a minute. Now, hold on a second. Hold on a fucking second. You know, one of the arguments that I've heard from the right wing against trans people repeatedly? They're gonna be made infertile. That's bad. People need to be able to actually bear children the proper way, the way God intended. But those hormones, they strip them of that ability. Okay, so I've heard that a fucking bunch. So why does this advocacy group, quote, need to try to sterilize trans people? I thought you guys bitched that the hormones did that. Which is it? Oh my god, okay. They claim that there's a homosexual agenda because apparently none of these guys can live without a conspiracy. Why do you guys need a conspiracy so badly? Were you not loved as a... It was either you were not loved as a child, so you have to push your suffering out on everybody else, or you were beat up so much as a child that now that it's not happening anymore, you've got to pretend somebody's doing it all the time. Which is it? It's one of these two. But they claim that a homosexual agenda will destroy Christianity and society. They work to develop religious liberty legislation, which apparently means oppressing LGBTQ individuals, and case law that will allow the denial of goods and services to LGBTQ people on the basis of religion. What the fuck? What kind of hate-mongering organization do you have to be to engage in something like this? How is this actually defending freedom? This isn't freedom. This isn't the... You're not an alliance defending freedom if every single thing your organization stands for is anti-freedom. That's not how this works. And also, state-sanctioned sterilization? I'm sorry, but there is another type of state-sanctioned... I need to go over this way. Hi, chat. How are you doing? Hey, chat. Did you know that there is, in fact, a type of state-sanctioned sterilization that happened in another country? Not just this one. Oh, no, that shit happened in this country. In fact, actually, hold on, chat. Give me a moment. Give me 1 second. You know that whole thing that was happening during the Red Square Or the Red Scare. It can happen here. Hold on, let me find that. It Can Happen Here is a semi-satirical 1935 political novel by American author Sinclair Lewis. The novel was published during the heyday of fascism in Europe, which was reported by the Dorothy Thompson Lewis's wife. It Can Happen Here was a slogan that was touted a lot about. It was basically given to people would say that it can't happen here in regards to fascism, Nazism, shit like that. They would say that it cannot happen here. And there's a lot of propaganda that happened as a result of this. Let's ignore the fact, and Godless Cranium actually did a good dissertation on this, that America actually was pretty close to Nazism before it entered World War II. We actually had a lot of organizations in the United States that agreed a lot with Nazis. But, ignoring all that historical context, there is another state that has engaged in forced sterilization. Now, I'm pretty sure most of you are going to freak out and go, yeah, I got it, it's Nazi Germany! You're not wrong. You're not actually wrong. But, what if I told you that in 1907, the United States began its own eugenics programs? In fact, the first state to do this in 1907 was Indiana. It enacted its first sterilization legislation, followed closely by Washington, California, and Connecticut 2 years later. Sterilization rates across the country were relatively low. Yes, Growlith. Hello, girl. But in 1927, in the Supreme Court case Buck v. Bell, apparently forced sterilization of patients at a Virginia home for those who were seen to be at the case. I'm going to use a hard R slur. Apologies for that in advance, but the actual medical term at that time was mentally retarded. They pushed in 1927 for the forced sterilization of them because they did not want to pass those genes down. This is eugenics. This was not Nazi Germany eugenics. This was eugenics in the United States, on our soil, here, less than 100 years ago. And so when somebody says, and I've heard some people argue, that stuff like this, over here, up there, can't happen here. No organization would succeed in doing these things here on United States soil. That stuff up there, that's already happened. That already fucking happened here. It happened 100 years ago. There's nothing saying it can't happen again. So if somebody tries to tell you that shit like that can't happen in your home, I'm sorry, it has, and it can. So, let's see here. In the words of the ADF, the Alliance Defending Freedom, allowing males to compete in the female category isn't fair, and it destroys girls' athletic opportunities. Well, again, let's ignore the fact that trans women are women, so there's no reason for them to even make that statement. It's not males competing in female categories, it's females competing against females. ADF Legal Counsel Christian Hakom refers to trans female athletes as male in ADF. That was in 2019, because of course it is. What else do we have in here that is interesting for these people? Because their history goes back a little bit. A quote from them in 2007, "In the end, those who profess to be gay or lesbian or who have otherwise slipped in and out of homosexual behavior, including cruising for anonymous partners, are people who succumb to a dangerous temptation." Again, this is fucking Christian Puritan work. So, just This is not me trying to rail on the ADF for all the dumb shit they've done in the past. This is me pointing out that the ADF are the ones who worked on this lovely cartoon we're going to watch. Are you guys ready for that, by the way?
Should someone who believes that marriage is the union between one man and one woman be forbidden from earning a living?
Ah, that is an interesting question. That's a very interesting question. And on its own, if I were to just take that question, I would say, well, no, they're wrong, and we should be trying to educate them as to why they're wrong, but no, they shouldn't be disallowed from earning a living. That would be barbaric. That would be totalitarian. But hold on. Is that what's happened? Is that what's happened? And I'll give you a spoiler alert. No. But let's go on.
Surprising question, right? In America, everyone has civil rights, regardless of their beliefs. That goes for political beliefs, but also our religious and moral beliefs, including beliefs that go to the core of who we are and how to build our families and live our lives. But what if the government decided it didn't agree with your beliefs and it wanted to punish you by excluding you from making a living? Take the example of Steve Tennis, Country Mill Farms, and the city of East Lansing, Michigan. Running his family farm...
Okay, so I just want to point out a little
bit...
City
of East Lansing, Michigan.
What's going on here. Okay, so take a look at the family here. Right here. You see this family? Do you see how precious they are? Do you see how innocent they are? They're all smiling. They're happy. This one's got blonde hair, blue eyes. I'm sure that won't come up later. But if you take a look at this, there's a very obvious dichotomy here. This is the happy American family. This is the American dream. Everybody's doing just grand. And if you look over here, it's the corporate executives. The elites. The people in power. Now, I'm not going to tell them how to make effective propaganda. They seem to already fucking know how to do it. But let's take a look at the rest of this fun video.
Running his family farm isn't just Steve Tennis's way of making a living. It's his way of sharing the most important thing in his life, his love for God. It's this love that inspires him and his family to serve their neighbors. Steve's family has donated thousands of pounds of apples from their orchards to local food banks. They provide quality housing on their own farm next to their house for guest workers, and they've shared and lived out their faith as they've served their many customers and visitors at the farm. One way Steve expresses his love for God proved to be a problem with a few powerful people in the nearby city of East Lansing.
Remember what I said about the powerful elites thing? Look at them, right there. Powerful, rich, ready to attack the American family at their core. Okay, so I'm just going to stop doing that voice right now for fun. So, we've got a group of people here who are a family who are being framed as this is the perfect godly family. They donate to charity. They are just excellent people. These people have done no wrong. These people are basically Jesus. Look at those Pharisees over there. And that's not the exact comparison, but let's continue the video. My point here is that the setup for this so far, we've not been given any information yet, any like relevant information, but the setup so far has been that this is an completely innocent family who has done no wrong.
For 6 years, the Tennis family attended a farmer's market in East Lansing to sell their farm's produce. They loved providing fresh produce to people, and the people loved their organic fruit and vegetables.
Okay.
Year after year, the family was praised as a top vendor at the farmer's market, and the city invited them to return. One day, someone asked Steve on his farm's Facebook page to explain his views on marriage. He gave an honest answer consistent with his religious belief that marriage is a sacred union between one man and one woman. City officials, upon seeing this post, were offended.
All right, so let's begin with the dishonest framing here. This is beginning with city officials being offended, and that is the core problem. This isn't about city officials being offended and then suddenly, they decided to take away all of his rights and liberties. Let's take a look into the actual case. Let's see what actually happened. Okay. So, this guy's name, and I know that I looked this up earlier. So one sec, let me see where I actually put that information. Okay. So what actually happened here? Was it just a Facebook post? Well, that doesn't seem to be the case. So, the person's name in here is
Who we are and how to build.
I thought I had all this stuff ready.
Running tennis, country.
Steve Tennis, Country Mill Farms. Okay. Now, I remember I had this set up, but apparently I forgot to have it ready. So that's me. That's my bad. All right. Country Mill Farms filed a religious freedom lawsuit against the city of East Lansing after the city refused them a license to vend at a city's farmers market, which gained social media attention. Okay, that's consistent with what the video showed so far. The city's license refusal followed the farm excluding same-sex couples to use their farm for weddings. Oh, that's a bit different. Wait a minute. Hold on. ADF guys, I thought it was just the big elites in the city getting upset that there was an offensive Facebook post. That's not what this looks like, though. In 2016, Steve Tennis, owner of Country Mill Farms, made a statement on Facebook stating that his belief in marriage should be between a man and a woman. According to Mayor Ruth Bayer, who was mayor pro tem at the time, Tennis said same-sex couples would not be allowed to rent out the orchard for weddings. Okay, now, let's talk about a little bit of the history with this family. This is not just them going, you can't use our yard for weddings, don't do that. No, they've used their yard and profited from having weddings on their property, which is actual, like, business land. This is not just personal home property. This is private business property at this point, owned by a personal person. This is a group of people who provide this service to straight couples. But they have publicly stated that they would not provide that service to same-sex couples. Now, in the chat, if you are here, and you understand some very basic shit, okay? You should be able to understand this. What is the difference between being born black and being born gay? Well, the answer to that is not really a whole lot, because you can't really change either of these. Even in the event that somebody comes out tomorrow with information that says, oh, well, nobody's born gay, but they become gay after the first 3 or 4 years due to extracurricular societal shit that happens around them. Okay, cool. Well, if you can control your environment at 3 or 4 years old, excellent. You are officially a superhero, but nobody can. So, because that's the case, the argument's null and void. Nobody chooses to be gay. Nobody chooses to be black. So, let's reframe this. If Steve Tennis had said that, oh, well, we don't like them black people having marriages on our farm. We don't like that. They're not like us. Do you see how yikesy that statement is? How absolutely, I don't want to say just cringeworthy because it's much more than that, but how bigoted a statement like that is. If you won't allow blacks to be on your property for a wedding, but you will allow whites to be, That's the same thing as allowing straights, but not gay people. So, let's see what else, or why the actual thing happened. Because it's not just city officials being offended. No. East Lansing has an anti-discrimination policy. This is a business policy that if you go into business in East Lansing, you agree to. This is a legal precedent that you have to agree to abide by if you are doing business in East Lansing. Okay? Tennis filed a motion to appeal to the refusal to vend in 2017, which was approved in September 2017, and Country Mills Farm was allowed to vend at the city's farmers market for the remainder of the produce season. In an interview of September 2019, former mayor said he felt the community agreed with him and that the fight was worth it, but I think we're committed as a community to inclusion and protecting everybody from discrimination. Okay. Non-jury trial is supposed to take place December 14th. Now, there is another thing that I read on this specifically, and I was doing my research for the video beforehand, that showed that not only had the city given this warning, very fairly, but on top of that, would you like to know how old the law is, this particular anti-discrimination law? Honey, what are you doing?
Does this have an HDMI thing in the back?
This one?
This monitor?
I don't think so. Not while I'm streaming, honey. You're not taking it while I'm streaming.
I'm not gonna take it while you're streaming. I'm looking.
You're looking?
I'm looking.
You're looking?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm sorry if your TV moves.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna continue to yell and scream, I guess.
It does have an HDMI. Okay. So, I love you. When you're done, Aaron's getting this one.
Okay. Why?
So, they have a DVI and an HDMI in the back of their computer. We both run VGAs.
Okay.
I do not have a VGA port at all on the back of my PC.
And in order to run one of my things, she has to run either a VGA port, which she can't, or a monitor with a DVI port, or with an HDMI port.
Okay.
I'm getting both of this one's old monitors.
Because they like the look of the TV, and they wanted to replace the small monitor that I had.
Okay.
This has an HDMI cord,
Mm-hmm.
which she has an HDMI to DVI cord.
Mm-hmm.
So it works. So when you're done taking this, losing it,
Okay.
repeating it.
Okay.
Fuck you.
As long as it's getting replaced
Yeah,
with a monitor.
yeah.
Okay.
You're getting my 1080p monitor.
Okay. Okay, cool. Well, that happened. All right, so would anybody like to know how old this anti-discrimination law is? Anybody? The one that East Lansing uses. I'm not going to pull it up right now because I remember I have this research done. March 7th, 1972. That's how old this is. So let's continue the video. Now that we know how old this anti-discrimination law is, and we know that it's not just a country, or it's not just a country bumpkin having beliefs and then the big bad state stepping in because they were offended by a Facebook post. Now that we've got that shit out of the way, clarified that poisoned well, let's continue.
City officials, upon seeing this post, were offended. They set out to banish Steve from the farmer's market.
They set out to banish him from the farmer's market. That'd be destroying an American dream right there. Bigotry and selling apples. America. No.
How? By creating a new rule that allowed them to punish Steve for expressing his religious views about what weddings he can celebrate on his family farm, which is located 22 miles outside the city.
So, a new rule. A new rule. Bear in mind, they were selling at the farmer's market in East Lansing. The city can tell him not to sell in the farmer's market in East Lansing. They are claiming it was a new rule. What is this new rule they're referring to? Because apparently the rule existed in the fucking 70s. This doesn't sound like it can possibly be a new rule. So what are they on about? Let's hear.
Of course, Steve answering a question on Facebook about his view of marriage has absolutely nothing to do with selling apples at the farmer's market.
But since these apples are produced at your business, which is the exact same business that rents its orchard where the apples are harvested, two couples only who are of opposite sexes or genders, since you only allow them, wouldn't that mean that these are actually pretty integrally correct? Blah, 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 blah. Integrally connected. These apples are in fact harvested from the exact same place that discriminates against gay people. This would be like saying, look, I bought my Nike shoes, okay? I bought them, and I bought them specifically from Walmart. It has nothing to do with child sweatshop labor. But the shoes that are sold at that Walmart came from a sweatshop in China, where outsourced exploitative labor was utilized in order in creating them. Wait a minute, hold on. But I thought that this had nothing to do with that. Except it does. Because literally, the place they used to discriminate against people is where this shit was harvested.
And Steve had always followed all market rules and always served everyone.
Except the anti-discrimination one.
Two things the city agrees with. The city adopted the rule for one reason, to penalize Steve for what he believed.
Nope. He can believe whatever he wants. Here, let me explain. Okay? Let's say I'm a McDonald's manager, right? And I don't like the gays. So, when I see two men kiss in my establishment, I kick them out. Because they are the gays. And I don't like the gays. Now, it's because, and when somebody says that has nothing to do with buying a burger, are you going to walk into McDonald's and tell me that that two sausage lickers walking in has nothing to do with selling meat? And I can twist it in any fucking dumb shit way I can. I honestly, truly can. And if I do so, I'm basically just twisting and contorting around the fact that I am taking my establishment and I am making it a hostile place for a minority group. For no other reason than apparently a book told me to. That's, I guess. That's it. Like, that's the best reasoning that can be given by Mr. Racist McDonald's worker here. Like, at the end of the day, it has everything to do with it. If your orchard that is selling the apples at the farmer's market does exactly the thing that you do not allow for in your anti-discrimination policies, I'm sorry, these things are connected enough.
You see, Steve and his family are Catholic, and because they are Catholic, they believe that marriage is between a man and a woman.
Okay. See, I thought that Catholicism, at least not of the sedevacantism variety, had actually calmed down on the homophobia, but I guess they calmed down on the homophobia except where marriage is concerned. They specifically still do not like gay marriage. Okay. That's... okay. That's not the one. That's the one.
the same belief about marriage held by every major religion and by millions of people around the world and throughout history.
Wait, by every major religion. Every major religion. This, one, is a lie. Two, this is what we would like to call an argumentum ad populum. Else, an argument from authority. Else, a genetic fallacy. People in the chat. Why is my chat box broken? Again. Why does it always break? It always breaks, and I don't understand it. Okay. So, guys, in the chat, if you happen to know of a major religion that is not overtly homophobic, then please do me a favor, press H in the chat. And feel free as well to share this religion, whatever it may be. If you can't think of one, then please press G, but I'm fairly certain that some of you can at least come up with one. At least I would hope so, given Ocean's my freaking co-host. Mark Titus, H, Buddhism. Polish Prince, H, Buddhism. David Thompson, H, Taoism. Original Spaz, H, Unitarianism. Or Echoes, H, Wicca. Cutthroat Balsarac, H, Paganism. Wow! What a fucking concept! It is almost as if it's not hard to find major religions that are not overtly fucking homophobic. That wasn't very difficult. That really wasn't. Oh, and most modern progressive Christians in the first place.
But one city official said these beliefs are ridiculous, horrible, hateful.
Yes, if you have a belief that says that because... Allow me a moment. Growlithe, I need to roll. I must roll. Is my headphones actually gonna reach? Maybe not. Okay, you know what? Hold on. Alright. So, if I say, I have this book, okay? I like this book. If I do this, okay? Let's do this. I have this book. And this book says that I should not be gay. So you shouldn't be gay. If you believe in that kind of logic, fuck the book. I'm sorry, fuck the book. It does not matter. Because, at the end of the day, if your book that you are following about how you should personally act prevents you from functioning in a society with other people, I'm holding it upside down. I'm doing a drumpf. Then maybe this particular politician is right, and it's ridiculous, horrible, and hateful. The actual belief is horrible and hateful in its own, but it's ridiculous because I can't talk to you about that belief. I can't talk with you about that because this book is going to be an authority piece. And it's impossible for me to have a conversation with you about something if it happens to be in this book because you're going to go, no, that's wrong. Because my book says it. It doesn't fucking matter that your book says it. Arguments from authority are fallacies. Stop it. Get some help.
Another official said that to defend traditional marriage is the same as defending racist Jim Crow laws.
Yes, and there's a reason for that. This actually is not hard to understand. Let me explain. There's a reason that statement functions. If you defend traditional marriage because it's traditional, because it's tradition, it is the same as defending Jim Crow laws on the basis that they are tradition. Therefore, they must be defended. It's the same concept. There is no difference. This is what we call an argument from antiquity, or the appeal to antiquity fallacy. What you consider traditional marriage, trying to defend that and then using that as a reason to exclude another person, is no different than arguing that Jim Crow laws are traditional and then using that to argue in favor of segregation.
Even the mayor weighed in, criticizing Steve for his Catholic view on marriage. Unless they stopped holding to those ridiculous beliefs, Steve and his family were officially banned from the market, even though they did nothing wrong.
Has nothing to do with holding on to your beliefs. It has everything to do with running a business in an exclusionary fashion. By running a business in an exclusionary fashion, you are in violation of laws that existed probably longer than Steve.
Steve and his family welcome everyone to their farm and sell their fruit to anyone, no matter who they are. In fact, the Tennis family farm is in another town, miles from the East Lansing city limits.
Okay.
Think about that. If you don't believe the right things according to city officials, you shouldn't be allowed to earn a living.
That's not what is being said. It has nothing to do with your belief. It has nothing to do with believing the right things. It has everything to do with utilizing your business that you want to sell from in the city in a way that is exclusionary, which goes against the city's laws. It goes against the laws you agreed to in order to actually participate in the capitalist market of your city. You had to agree to those things. Now, granted, from what I've understood, Steve is still allowed to sell. And I would not necessarily say he should not be allowed to sell. What I am saying, though, is that the framing of this is fucked up. My personal take is that he should not be allowed to hold any marriages on his orchard at all. Nobody should be allowed to use his orchard for marriages if he's not going to let everybody do that. That part should be completely nixed out of his business if that's going to be exclusionary. That solves all the problems right there. You can keep your beliefs. You can be a bigot and run a business. If I don't know you're a bigot, if I'm going to a local burger joint and I don't know that you're a bigot, chances are I'll never know you're a bigot when you sell me that burger, because while the grease from that burger is pulling on my lap, I neither know nor care. But the minute you start actively denying people of minority groups from buying your grease bomb burger, I now know that you are a bigot, and now I don't buy from you anymore. As an example, Chick-fil-A recently, as in a year ago, or at least I think it was a year ago, something like that. No, it was 6 or 8 months ago, said they would stop donating to anti-trans funds. And so I started eating at Chick-fil-A again because, hey, you guys are doing a good thing again. Fuck it. I can go get a good chicken sandwich. And then, of course, here recently, they started doing the same shit again, and they are supporting Blue Lives Matter and firing people for saying Black Lives Matter. Okay, I guess I'm not buying your fucking bigot chicken sandwich again. I don't have a reason to anymore, because you guys decided to be jerkwads. Had you not decided to politically put your foot in your mouth, I would have never known. But then when you actually do something, suddenly, I know.
Now, if that seems unfair to you, like it flies in the face of the Constitution unfair, you're not alone. Steve thought so too. He sued the city of East Lansing and asked to be protected from the city's unjust actions. It took years, and the city fought back. Along the way, a judge temporarily allowed the Tennis family farm to return to the East Lansing Farmers Market. As one of Steve's advocates at Alliance Defending Freedom put it, all Americans should be free to live and speak according to their deeply held religious beliefs without fear of unjust government punishment.
Yes, you are right, but is that what's actually happening right now? From what I've been able to read, no. Because it's not just his beliefs, it's him actively preventing people from using his farm because they're gay, in a way that he lets other people use his farm. This is no different than not selling apples to somebody because they're gay. If you do that, you probably shouldn't be operating a business in the United States. Please go to a country that probably more accurately aligns with your views. Like, I don't know, Iran.
City officials in East Lansing somehow forgot this. Hopefully, the court will enter a final ruling that reminds them of this obvious truth.
Obvious truth. And of course, they're sitting here with the crossed arms and everything. All right, so I know I mentioned, that's just so you guys know, that's an appeal to common sense. And common sense, at the end of the day, is just your set of stacked up prejudices. It's not actually common amongst people. We just call it common sense. It's a misnomer. But if you're going to sell in East Lansing, you have to abide by East Lansing's laws. Doesn't matter where you happen to be in the proximity. If you fall within the legal jurisdiction of East Lansing, you kind of have to follow those laws. That's where you are. But, okay.